If you ever hear someone say that night shifts are boring, don't believe them. I used to think that myself when I started working security at Blackridge Mall in Ohio. The pay was decent, the hours were quiet, and honestly, I liked the solitude. No one around, all the space to myself. Perfect for a guy like me who liked to listen to music and keep to himself. I had worked the mall for almost a year when I started noticing weird things. Not huge, obvious stuff, just subtle things. Little sounds in empty corridors, the faint scent of cigarette smoke in wings that were long closed off. Stuff that I wrote off as my imagination. It was my last week on the job before I transferred to another post. I was doing my usual rounds, checking cameras, logging activity. Blackridge Mall had this abandoned wing on the north side. Stores had been closed for years. The owners didn't pay rent, and the mall management never bothered to repurpose the space. That wing was off limits, but I had clearance. Sometimes I liked to wander in there at nights. It was eerie, but I thought I was brave enough. The first night I noticed something, it was subtle. I was in the security office, looking at the CCTV feeds. One camera showed the abandoned corridor near the old JCPenney entrance. The hallway was dark, paint peeling, tiles cracked, and then I thought I saw someone at the end of the hallway. A figure, tall, pale, blurry. I blinked, adjusted the camera, nothing. I shrugged it off, probably a trick of the shadows or a reflection of the security lights. But then I started hearing things over the walkie-talkie. Static at first, faint whispers. I checked my channels. No one else was on duty. No one had access to that wing. The next night, I walked the abandoned corridor. My flashlight cut through the darkness, but the beam didn't seem to illuminate everything. Shadows clung to the walls in ways they shouldn't. I swear I heard footsteps behind me. Quick, soft, deliberate. I spun around. Nothing. Empty hallway. I tried to convince myself it was anxiety, the normal tension of walking alone at night. But then things escalated. I was in the security office around 2:30 a.m., sipping my coffee, when the camera on the old food court flickered. The camera feed went black for a moment, then came back. And there he was, or she, I don't know. A person standing in the middle of the hallway, pale, hunched, head tilted at a weird angle, staring straight at the camera. I froze. I grabbed my radio. Hello, anyone there? Nothing. I was alone. I decided to check the hallway myself. I grabbed my flashlight and headed north. Each step felt louder than it should have, echoing off the empty tile floor. When I reached the spot where the figure had appeared on the feed, there was nothing. Just a cold, musty smell that made my skin crawl. Then I heard it. A faint whisper, almost too soft to hear. Leave. I whipped around. Nobody. My heart was pounding. I grabbed my radio again. Security office, this is guard. Do you copy? Still nothing. That night, I stayed at the office, glued to the camera feed. Every corridor seemed alive. Shadows moved on their own. Lights flickered, and sometimes the cameras would cut out entirely. And then, at exactly 3:17 a.m., every monitor went black at once. The silence that followed was deafening. I thought I heard footsteps again, this time closer, around the back of the office. I spun around, nothing. But then I noticed the office door was slightly ajar. I could have sworn I had locked it. My flashlight beam fell on the floor. There were footprints, wet footprints, leading away from the door toward the abandoned wing. I froze. I didn't want to move, but I had to know. I had to see. Slowly, I followed the trail. My flashlight flickered. My stomach churned. The further I went, the colder it became. I started seeing shadows moving just outside the flashlight's reach. Shadows that didn't belong to me. Then I heard it clearly. Breathing. Heavy. Ragged. Like someone or something was watching me. I turned the corner into the hallway leading to the old JCPenney. My flashlight beam caught something that made me stumble backward. A man, or a shape of a man, standing in the middle of the hall. His eyes were wrong, black, endless, and staring straight at me. I ran. I don't know how fast, but I ran back to the office, heart pounding, chest burning. I locked the door, shut the monitors off, and just sat there, shaking. I didn't sleep the rest of the night. By the next evening, I was exhausted, but something inside me told me to go back. I couldn't let it go. I needed to know what I had seen. The second encounter was worse. I was checking the camera feeds again. The figure appeared, closer this time, standing at the end of the hallway, and then it moved. It moved toward the camera, but it didn't walk. It glided. Its head tilted in ways no human head could tilt. And then it smiled. Not a normal smile. A crooked, cruel smile that made my stomach turn. I grabbed my flashlight and radio, heart hammering. The office door slammed shut behind me. I tried to open it. Locked. Not by me. Something was inside with me. I could feel it. The hallway outside the office seemed alive, pulsing, breathing, and then whispering again, "You shouldn't be here." I screamed into the radio, "I need help! Anyone!" Nothing. And then the lights went out. I was in complete darkness. My flashlight flickered and died. I could hear breathing. Close. Too close. Something cold brushed against my arm. I jumped back and my shoulder hit the wall. I could hear footsteps circling me. Slow, deliberate, circling, watching. I don't know how long I stood there frozen. Seconds? Minutes? Hours? Time didn't exist. Then the lights came back. Everything was normal. Empty hallway. Office door open. No footprints. No figure. No sign of anything. Just silence. I quit that night. I turned in my uniform, left the mall, and never looked back. But I still remember it. The way those black, endless eyes seemed to pierce right through me. The whispering, the smell of damp decay that followed me through that hallway. Sometimes I wake up at night and I swear I hear footsteps in my apartment. My heart still races, and I still don't know what I saw at Blackridge Mall. Some nights, I wonder if it's still there, waiting for the next guard who dares to walk those empty corridors. After that night, I thought I was done. I had quit, returned my badge, and walked out of Blackridge Mall for the last time. I thought leaving would be enough to escape whatever I had experienced. But some things don't let you go that easily. I kept thinking about the figure, the way it moved, the way it smiled. The memory replayed in my mind, unbidden, in the dark of my apartment at night. I tried to rationalize it. Stress, exhaustion, too much time alone. But deep down, I knew it wasn't my imagination. I had seen it.
and it had seen me. A week later, I got a call. It was from the mall manager. "We need you to come back," he said. "There's something happening in the North Wing. The security team is seeing shadows, hearing noises, equipment failing. You're the only one who worked those corridors before. Can you come in?" I hesitated. My hands shook. My mind screamed to say no, to stay far away. But something inside me, curiosity, maybe stupidity, made me agree. I needed to know. I needed to face it. The next night, I returned. The mall was quiet, colder than usual. The fluorescent lights flickered, buzzing softly. I walked to the office, set up the monitors, and it was like stepping into the past. The cameras flickered, and then there it was, standing at the far end of the corridor, exactly where I had first seen it. Only this time, it moved differently. It moved with purpose. Its head tilted at impossible angles, eyes black voids, smiling that same cruel smile. I grabbed my flashlight and cautiously stepped toward the corridor. Each step echoed unnaturally. I noticed something strange. The tiles seemed to pulse under my feet, as if the hallway itself were alive. I felt watched, and not just by the figure. Shadows moved in ways that made no sense. Doors would creak open and shut by themselves. Lights would flicker in patterns, almost like a rhythm. Then I heard it, whispering again, louder this time, distinct. "You came back." I froze. My blood ran cold. The voice was familiar, almost intimate, like it knew me. The figure started gliding toward me, not walking, not running, just gliding. The air turned icy. My breath formed clouds. I tried to back away, but it was as if the hallway had changed, stretching longer, twisting, trapping me. I turned to run. My flashlight flickered, casting shadows that seemed to move independently of me. Shapes on the walls twisted into grotesque forms. Faces screaming silently, reaching hands clawing at me. I felt like I was suffocating, like the walls themselves were closing in. And then I heard it clearly, my name. Michael. I spun around. Nothing. Only the corridor. Empty. Silent. But I knew it wasn't empty. Something was behind me. Something that wanted me to look, to see. I turned slowly, and my flashlight caught it. The figure, closer now, impossibly tall, impossibly thin, eyes never leaving mine. Its mouth opened wide, stretching like a wound, and the whispers became a chorus of voices, all speaking at once. I ran. I didn't care where. I ran through the empty mall, the corridors twisting in ways that didn't match the layout I knew. Every door I passed slammed shut behind me, locking me in. Every reflective surface, windows, polished floors, mirrors, showed me more of it. Shadows crawling along the walls, eyes staring from corners, mouths moving where there shouldn't be mouths. I made it back to the security office, but the monitors were gone. The cameras had vanished. The room felt wrong, as if I had stepped into a different version of reality. And then I saw it, reflected in the glass of the office window. Dozens of figures, black-eyed, pale, moving silently behind me. I turned, but the office was empty. I turned back to the window, and they were closer, pressing their faces against the glass, staring, smiling, whispering. "You can't leave." My phone buzzed, a text from my own number, "Leave or join us." I dropped the phone. It shattered on the floor. The figures in the window vanished. Silence returned, but it wasn't calm. It was a pressure, a suffocating weight pressing down on me. I tried to leave. The front doors locked. My keycard didn't work. No alarms, no cameras, nothing. It was just me, the cold, and the endless dark corridors of the abandoned wing. Then the lights flickered, and for a moment, I saw the mall as it once was. People shopping, laughter echoing, bright lights. And then the people, customers, employees, turned. Their eyes black voids, faces twisted into expressions of pure malice. They reached for me, and I realized these weren't ghosts of the dead. They were something else, something older, something waiting. I screamed. I ran blindly, crashing through corridors, doors, walls that seemed solid but gave way, the layout shifting beneath my feet. The whispers followed me, growing louder, more insistent. Names, threats, laughter, cries, all merging into a symphony of madness. I don't know how long I ran. Hours, days, time lost meaning, and then I woke up. I was outside the mall, morning sunlight streaming down. Security had found me, shaking, pale, covered in dirt and sweat. I couldn't speak. I couldn't explain. I left immediately, never returned. Since that night, I've moved far away from Ohio. I don't work security anymore. I don't go into empty buildings, but sometimes when I walk past a shopping mall, I see the shadows moving in ways that don't make sense. And sometimes I hear a whisper, faint, distant. "Michael, come back." I still wonder about that night. What did I see? What followed me? Was it a ghost or something older? Something waiting? I'll never know, and I don't want to, but Blackridge Mall, it waits. And if you ever work the night shift there, remember this: some corridors are better left unwalked, some shadows are better left unseen, and some things are not meant to be confronted.
They told me working the night shift at Raven County Hospital would be quiet. I thought they were kidding. I'm a security guard, been doing this for nearly a decade. I've seen people pass out drunk, fight in parking lots, get rushed to the ER. I've handled my share of chaos, but nothing prepared me for the wing they call the Graveyard Post. It's the old wing of Raven County, abandoned since the 70s. They never tore it down because it's structurally sound, they said. Most staff avoid it like the plague, but for security, it's part of the job. I was assigned there for 3 weeks while they upgraded cameras elsewhere. 3 weeks alone in a wing no one has walked in for decades. The first night, I didn't feel anything unusual. The hallway smelled of dust, mildew, and old hospital cleaners. My flashlight cut through the darkness, bouncing off cracked tiles and peeling paint. I walked past old patient rooms, some with rusted beds, broken IV poles, and faint scribbles on the walls. Names, dates, warnings. At first, I laughed at my own nerves. I talked to myself to stay sane. It's just an empty building, nothing to be scared of. But the further I walked, the more it felt alive. The air grew colder. The fluorescent lights overhead flickered. Sometimes I would hear shuffling, almost like footsteps behind me. I spun around. Nothing, just long shadows. By the second night, the atmosphere had shifted. Things weren't subtle anymore. I started noticing whispers, quiet, almost imperceptible, but coming from the end of the hall. I swore I could hear a soft crying, like someone lost, trapped. I checked my radio. No other guards, no maintenance staff, nothing. Then I saw my first visitor. I was walking the main corridor when I noticed a silhouette at the far end. A man, sitting on the floor, back against the wall, head bowed. I called out, "Hello, are you okay?" The figure didn't move. I stepped closer. As I approached, I noticed something odd. He had no face, just smooth skin where features should have been. And then he looked up. Not at me, through me. My stomach turned. I ran. Back to the security office, slammed the door, locked it. My heart was pounding. I tried to call my supervisor, but my phone had no signal. Even my radio crackled and died. That night, I didn't sleep. I sat in the office, flashlight in hand, staring at the monitors. The cameras worked, mostly. But in the hallways, shadows moved where there shouldn't be shadows. Doors that were closed, now ajar. Reflections in the glass. Patients I had never seen, staring at me. By the third night, I was desperate to leave. But something told me I couldn't. Something needed me there. I was walking the wing again when I heard it. A soft whisper. "You're not alone." I froze. My flashlight flickered. The air grew cold, my breath visible. And then footsteps, slow, deliberate, coming from every direction. I turned in circles, trying to see. The hallway stretched impossibly long. Walls warped. The floorboards creaked under invisible weight. Then I heard a voice I'll never forget. My name. "Ethan." I turned sharply. Nothing. Just the hallway, empty, silent. Then the whispers came together. A chorus. Names, threats, cries, and laughter. All merging into a single, terrifying sound. The figures began to appear. Patients, doctors, nurses. But their faces were blank, featureless, moving unnaturally, gliding across the floor, passing through walls. I ran. Doors slammed behind me, corridors twisted and extended, creating a labyrinth I didn't know existed. Every turn revealed more figures, watching, waiting, whispering. Some reached for me, their hands pale and cold. Some smiled with mouths that stretched impossibly wide. By the time I reached the main stairwell, I was shaking, breathless, panicked. I tried to call out on my radio. Static. A voice came through, my own. "You can't leave." I stumbled down the stairs, but the stairwell seemed endless. My flashlight flickered and died. I was plunged into darkness. And then I heard it. Soft footsteps circling me, surrounding me. Whispers. "Stay. Stay. Forever." I don't remember how I got back to the office. When I finally opened the door, it was empty. The monitors were gone. The clocks all read 3:33 a.m. The silence was suffocating. That night, I couldn't sleep. I couldn't stop hearing whispers in my apartment, scratching on the walls, the faint echo of footsteps pacing behind me. Something followed me home. something that knew my name. By the fourth night, I was hallucinating, or maybe I wasn't. I could see movement in the shadows of the hallway, even through the cameras. I saw a hand press against the glass of a monitor. I saw figures materialize in the stairwells, in rooms that didn't exist. I felt watched, hunted. I tried to leave, but the hospital doors wouldn't open. My keycard failed. My radio only emitted static. And then the whispers became words I could understand. You came back. You belong here. I ran blindly through the corridors. Each turn revealed more impossible things. Hallways folding into themselves, patient rooms from decades past, nurses and doctors walking in circles, faces blank, eyes black. They whispered my name, my thoughts, my fears. At some point, I stumbled into the morgue, cold, metallic, silent, except it wasn't empty. Drawers were opening on their own. Shadows shifted inside them. Something crawled out. I ran. By morning, the doors finally opened. Staff found me curled in the security office, shaking, muttering, covered in sweat. I don't remember how I got out. I quit that day, never went back. But sometimes I see a shadow in my bedroom. Sometimes I hear my name whispered in the dark. I know one thing. The graveyard post never really lets you leave. By the fifth night, I had stopped pretending I could control anything. The hospital no longer felt like a building. It felt alive, aware, and it hated me. Every corridor I walked seemed to stretch longer than before. The air turned colder, heavier, each breath like inhaling ice. I decided to record everything on my phone, thinking maybe evidence would help explain what was happening, or at least prove to myself that I wasn't losing my mind. But the recording didn't capture anything. My voice, my footsteps, even the whispers, all erased. Only the black shapes remained in my memory, sharper than reality, more real than anything else. That night, I saw it again. Standing at the end of the main corridor, a figure I couldn't fully comprehend. Pale, faceless, gliding across the floor as if it weren't bound by gravity. And this time, there were more. Dozens of them, scattered in the shadows, watching, whispering my name in chorus. I tried to escape. I ran through the labyrinthine corridors, doors slamming shut behind me, hallways twisting and looping into themselves. I was screaming for help, but my voice was swallowed. The hospital was alive. It had no doors, no windows, only endless darkness filled with waiting shapes. Then I reached the stairwell. Normally, 3 floors. Now, it spiraled endlessly. Each step creaked like a coffin being opened, and the whispers grew louder. Not just my name now, but things I had never told anyone. Secrets, fears, regrets, all laid bare in their haunting chorus. I tried to run down the stairs, but with each step, I felt something cold brush against my skin. Fingers, tentacles, I didn't know. Just icy touches, grabbing, holding, pulling me back. I screamed, but the sound was swallowed, bouncing off walls that weren't really there. And then, I saw the morgue. Somehow, I ended up there. Drawers rattling, opening on their own. Shadows rising from inside, twisting into grotesque human forms. They whispered, "Stay, Stay forever. Join us. I turned to run, but the room changed. It stretched impossibly, floors bending, walls folding. Figures materialized in front of me, blocking every path. Their faces featureless, eyes black as voids, smiling in ways no human could. They glided toward me, slow but inevitable. I tried my radio again, static. But then, a voice, soft, familiar. You can't leave, you belong here. I froze. My mind screamed. This wasn't a person talking, not a ghost. Something ancient. Something that fed on fear, trapped souls, and used their memories to torment the living. I ran blindly. The hospital twisted around me, corridors folding back on themselves. I saw past patients, nurses, doctors, all faceless, all moving toward me, whispering my name, my fears, my failures. Each step I took felt like sinking into quicksand, and then I remembered something from the hospital's history. The graveyard post wasn't just abandoned. It was the wing where patients who died mysteriously were taken, forgotten, erased from records, replaced by new faces. The whispers. They weren't random. They were memories. Souls trapped in the walls, and now they wanted me. I screamed, throwing my body forward, diving into a hallway that didn't exist on the map. Shadows reached for me, hands cold, grabbing at my arms, legs, pulling, whispering. Stay, join us, forever. I felt my consciousness slip, my body moving against my will. I could hear my own voice screaming in my head. And then, silence. I woke up outside the hospital at dawn. Security staff found me sitting on the curb, shaking, panting, eyes wide and unseeing. No scratches, no injuries. My clothes were intact. But I knew I hadn't really left. Some part of me was still inside that wing, watching, waiting. I quit that day, never returned, moved far away. But sometimes when I close my eyes at night, I hear whispers, names, secrets, laughter, my own name. And I know the graveyard post waits, waiting for the next guard, the next person alone, the next soul it can claim. The hospital hasn't changed. The wing hasn't been torn down. And some nights, when the wind blows just right, staff report hearing footsteps, whispers, and voices calling names that don't exist. I don't know if I'll ever be free. All I know is this. If you ever find yourself in the graveyard post at Raven County Hospital, don't walk alone. Don't listen. And whatever you do, don't answer when it calls your name. Because if you do, you might never leave.
I thought working night security at a warehouse would be easy. Empty halls, flickering lights, the occasional delivery truck. What could go wrong? My name's Jason, and I was assigned to watch over an old logistics warehouse in Nevada. The place had been operational for decades, but was mostly empty at night, just me and the silence. Management warned me, some areas are restricted. Stick to the patrol route, don't wander. I nodded, thinking they were just corporate paranoia. The first week was boring. Too boring. Endless aisles of crates, echoing footsteps, fluorescent lights humming overhead. I patrolled, checked doors, logged activity, nothing out of the ordinary, until the second week. That's when I first noticed the logs. Visitor logs, names, times, signatures. Strange thing was, the names didn't match anyone who worked there. Names like Samuel H., Clara J., D. Whitmore. I thought maybe contractors or maintenance staff had been logging entries, but then I looked closer. The dates on the entries, some were from decades ago, 1974, 1982, 1991. I laughed nervously. Probably a prank, I muttered to myself. But it didn't feel like a prank. There was something off about the handwriting. Precise, deliberate, like someone was still signing them. The real trouble started around 2 a.m. one night. I was making my rounds down aisle 14. My flashlight beam bounced off rows of crates. I heard a shuffle, shuffle again. I called out, "Hello, is someone there?" Nothing. I shrugged and kept walking, then I heard it again. Soft, deliberate footsteps behind me. I spun around. Empty aisle. My stomach sank. I turned back and there it was, a shadow, long and stretched across the crates, moving against the angle of the light. I froze. The shadow didn't belong to anything I could see. It moved independently, gliding along the floor. My flashlight flickered. Then I heard whispering, low, faint, like someone speaking behind a thick wall. My name, Jason. I bolted back toward the security office, checked the monitors, all cameras working, no one in sight, but then I noticed it on one feed. A figure, tall, pale, faceless, standing at the far end of aisle 14, just staring. I grabbed my radio. Control, I'm seeing someone. Static. My radio cut out. I hit the button again. Nothing. I told myself I was imagining it. I sat in the office, shaking, staring at the monitors. That's when I noticed more shadows moving where none should have been. One by one, crates seemed to shift slightly. Not falling, not tipping, just moving. The next night, things escalated. I walked the aisles again. A crate toppled over by itself. The sound echoed through the cavernous warehouse. I froze. I could hear whispering behind me close enough that I could feel the cold air on my neck. Don't leave! I spun. Empty aisle. My flashlight flickered, and then I saw them. Dozens of figures standing silently between crates, pale, faceless, gliding toward me. Some reached out, some just stared, eyes black voids. The air turned icy. I could see my breath, my pulse was deafening in my ears. I ran. I didn't care where. The warehouse seemed endless now. Corridors shifted. Crates rearranged themselves in ways that made no sense. I heard footsteps following, circling, closing in. The whispers grew louder, repeating my name, repeating my fears, repeating secrets only I knew. I tried to exit, but the doors wouldn't open. Keypad unresponsive, radio dead. I was trapped, and then I heard a sound that froze my blood. Someone or something was running behind me. Not gliding, not shuffling, running fast, silent, impossible. I stumbled into the loading dock. The doors were still locked. Then I saw it, a figure standing at the end of the dock, silhouetted against the faint glow of the city lights outside. Faceless, pale, gliding toward me, and behind it, Dozens more emerging from the shadows between crates, crawling along walls, hanging from the ceiling, all watching, all whispering. I screamed. I ran toward the office, hoping for some way to escape. The monitors flickered. On one feed, I saw something that made me choke. The visitor logs, they were filling themselves in one by one with names I recognized. My name. Jason L. timestamp. Now. Signature. My handwriting. I dropped to my knees, shaking, terrified. Something wanted me. They wanted my name in the logs, my soul on the list. Then the whispers became a chorus. Stay. Join us. Never leave. I don't know how I survived the night. I woke up in the office at dawn, drenched in sweat. No figures, no shadows, only the logs. My name written in ink that hadn't been there before. I quit immediately, took my badge, walked out, never looked back. But I still have nightmares. Shadows moving in my apartment, whispers calling my name. I know the warehouse still waits, waiting for the next guard, waiting to write their name in the log. By the 6th night, I knew I wasn't just imagining things anymore. The warehouse wasn't empty. It never had been. Whatever had been lurking between the crates, gliding in the shadows, following me, it had grown bolder, and it wanted me. I started my shift at 11 p.m., my nerves shot. The hum of the fluorescent lights sounded like low whispers. My flashlight flickered constantly, barely illuminating the aisles. I decided to stick to my patrol route, avoid wandering, but the warehouse had other plans. I heard it first, a faint scratching, like nails on wood, coming from the back aisles. I froze. My heartbeat thundered in my ears. "Hello?" I called out, trying to keep my voice steady. Silence. Then the scratching became tapping, then footsteps. Slow, deliberate, moving closer. I could feel the air shift around me, cold and heavy. I turned a corner, and there it was, a figure taller than any human should be, gliding toward me, pale, faceless, eyes black voids. Behind it, more figures, dozens stretching into the shadows. They moved unnaturally, bending around corners, crawling along walls, disappearing and reappearing as if the warehouse itself was alive. I ran. Every step echoed through the cavernous space. Crates seemed to rearrange themselves, forming walls that weren't there moments before. Hallways twisted, corridors extended into impossible angles. I stumbled into the middle of aisle 22 and froze. A figure was there, staring, its head tilted inhumanly, mouth stretching impossibly wide. Then it whispered, "Jason, you belong here." I bolted. My flashlight flickered and died. Darkness swallowed me. The whispers grew louder, turning into screams, a chorus of voices repeating every secret I had, every fear I ever had. I could feel cold hands brush against me, grab me, tug at my clothes, my skin. I reached the loading dock, the exit doors just meters away. I slammed my hands on the keypad, locked, radio dead, and then I heard it. Footsteps behind me, faster, running, chasing, relentless. I looked back. Figures, dozens, flowing like water, impossible shapes moving toward me, their faceless heads tilting, black eyes locked on me. I dove through a crate stack and hid. My breath came in ragged gasps. Shadows moved around me, whispering, pressing, waiting. One touched my shoulder, icy cold, fingers that felt solid yet not real. I screamed, scrambled away. Then I noticed something on the floor, a visitor log, opened, blank pages flipping in the windless warehouse air, and then writing appeared, my name, signed by me, timestamp, now. I panicked. The realization hit me. I wasn't just being haunted, they were trying to claim me, add me to the warehouse, to the logs, to whatever force kept this place alive. I had to escape. I sprinted blindly past twisting corridors, sliding crates, impossible shadows reaching for me. The whispers became a chorus chanting, "Stay, Jason, stay forever." I reached the office. Monitors flickered, then died. Nothing worked. And then I saw movement in the reflection of the glass. Hundreds of figures crowded behind me, faces blank, mouths stretching, eyes black as the void, whispering, calling, beckoning. I remembered the maintenance elevator at the back. If I could just reach it, I might escape. I bolted. Crates toppled, walls shifted. I could feel them brushing past me, fingers clawing, cold hands on my skin, shadows pressing. I slammed the elevator button. The doors creaked open. I dove inside. The figures pressed against the glass, faces tilting impossibly, whispering my name. The doors closed. I pressed the emergency button. The elevator moved slowly, impossibly slow. When I reached the ground floor, the doors opened to nothing, just empty concrete, no exit. The warehouse had shifted again. I could hear whispers all around me coming from nowhere and everywhere at once. I ran again, following the sound of the distant city lights. Shadows flowed along the walls, reached for me, and the visitor logs always appearing, pages flipping, names being written, my name added again and again. And then I tripped, fell, hit the concrete floor. The shadows surged. I felt weightless hands pull at me, dragging me backward. I struggled, screamed, clawed at the floor, and for a moment I thought I would be consumed, added to the warehouse forever. Then sunlight. A door, one I didn't know existed. I threw myself through it, collapsed outside. The warehouse behind me, silent, still. Innocent, like nothing had happened. I quit immediately, never went back, moved across state lines, changed my phone number. My name, though, my name is still in the visitor logs somewhere, waiting, and I know they are still there. The warehouse never sleeps. Sometimes when I drive past industrial districts, I see lights flicker in empty warehouses, shadows moving where they shouldn't be, and I know the next night guard will see the logs, will hear the whispers, and maybe they'll be next. The warehouse doesn't forgive. It doesn't forget. And it never sleeps.